So just begin by sitting. And you want to be sitting towards the edge of the chair. You want a quite sort of solid chair so that you're not sinking back and down into a soft seat or a chair with a dip in it. Maybe you could close your eyes and just take your attention into your body. Noticing what you can sense in sitting. And then just begin a small movement of looking a little up and a little down. Just what's possible without any strain, without any effort. Looking down towards the ground or towards your legs, towards your belly button maybe. And then looking up towards the ceiling. Just seeing how that feels. Then leave that and do a small movement of rolling the pelvis backwards and forwards. Just a few times. See if you can feel your sitting bones, the bony bit at the base of the pelvis. So you're rolling the weight a little in front of the sitting bones. That means sticking your bottom out a little bit and pushing the pubic bone down towards the chair. And then you're rolling the weight a little behind the sitting bones. That means your tailbone tucks underneath a little bit and your lower back gets a little bit longer. And do that a few times, just what's possible without any effort. Noticing which way you go a little easier than the other, perhaps. And then leave that and take a rest. Then do a movement of rounding the back a little and arching the back a little. Smoothly, softly. Noticing which parts of the spine are willing to move and which parts of the spine are a little more resistant. Noticing if one direction is easier than the other. Trying to gently arch and round the whole spine, the whole back. And then rest. And then do a movement of gently opening and closing your knees. So the knees come a little together and then they go a little apart. And you do that many times, just very softly. Noticing if they prefer to go in one direction or the other, or if you can sense any difference between your left and right sides. And then leave that. And then begin to roll your pelvis backwards and forwards again. And coordinate that with the opening and closing of the knees. So you roll your pelvis in one direction as your knees open. And then you change direction, rolling the pelvis the other way as your knees close. Knees opening and closing as the pelvis rolls. Rolling in front of your sitting bones and behind your sitting bones. And notice which way you coordinated. So either you are rolling your pelvis backwards, rolling the weight behind your sitting bones, tucking your tailbone underneath a little as your knees open, or you're doing the rolling backwards of the pelvis as your knees close. So now change your coordination. Do whichever version you didn't choose the first time. If you were rolling your pelvis backwards as your knees close, you now roll your pelvis backwards as your knees open, and vice versa. See if you can work that out. Be unambitious about it. This is the combination that you didn't choose the first time around, so maybe there is some reason for that. Maybe this is a little less familiar to you. If you can't manage it, then keep just playing with opening and closing the knees and rolling the pelvis and seeing if you can coordinate them in different ways. Just exploring. After you've done it a few times, go back to your original combination. See if you can re-coordinate, making it as smooth as possible, as easy as possible. Gently, gently. And then leave that. Take a rest. And just to finish, revisit the rolling of the pelvis with no particular intention for the legs or the knees, just rolling the pelvis forwards and backwards, sensing your sitting bones. Feel what that's like now. And then leave that and just open and close the knees a few times. See what that's like now. And then leave that and round the back and then arch the back. Do that gently a few times. See what it feels like now. How much of your spine can you involve in that action? Could you soften your belly a little more, soften your chest a little more, soften your jaw a little more? And then leave that and just revisit looking up and down a few times. And now as you're looking up and down, just take your attention back into the base of the pelvis, the bony structure of the sitting bones. Noticing if there's any echo of the movement of the head in some corresponding movement of the pelvis. Being aware of your base of support as you look up and down. And then rest for the last time. And take your attention to the soles of your feet on the ground. And then come to standing. And just sense your feet on the floor. Sensing the distance from the soles of the feet to the crown of the head. Your base of support and the length of the spine. And then take a walk.